Thanks for joining me today. As you probably know, my name's Michael Carter, or MC. I'm the founder and CEO of Practice Paradox, or Paradox for short. And we're all about helping accounting and advisory firms break out of the compliance box and actually do more advisory. So today, I'm glad that you could join me to be stepped through a model that we call the Marketing Machine 2.0 model. And it's 2.0 because we've been going for 7.5 years now, focusing solely on the niche, inch wide, mile deep of marketing for accountants and advisors. And we've evolved because marketing has changed. So sharing a model with you that will take out the mystery and will give you certainty, structure, and a path in your marketing. And as we go, I'll share examples as they come to mind. I don't have a pre-organized list of those, but I want you today to ask questions. So feel free right now, there's a Q&A function in the Zoom webinar platform where you can ask questions, and I'll see them come through. When you see me look over here, I'm looking at questions in chat. Ask them and we will get to the questions at the end. Frankly, I love questions because it makes everything a lot more relevant and interesting for everyone. So if you want to get in touch with us today, you can just email us at grow@practiceparadox.com.au. If you're a Twitter user, @practiceparadox is our Twitter handle. Let me say that, @practiceparadox. So let's get in it, shall we? And I am keeping an eye on the Q&A, so gold star to anyone who asks. So we're going to run through 10 steps for attracting your ideal clients today. So in terms of marketing, it's not about taking anyone who comes through the door, is it? I know when firms start, sometimes you can think any client's a good client. But if you have that view of any client's a good client, you'll work hard for 2 or 3 years and get down the track and think, okay, we're established now. But then you look at your client base and think, it's miscellaneous and it's so diverse that you can't easily scale. It's hard to be efficient. It's hard to train staff to be great at advising a broad, diverse range of clients. So the sooner you get really good at knowing who your specific clients you want to attract are, we're going to show you a 10-step process today, very methodical of how to do that. As we do that, I'll share with you what are the biggest marketing mistakes that we see and share a couple of examples of how we help firms automate aspects of their marketing and outsource aspects of their marketing too. Because marketing is a core competency of any successful business. So you need to take it seriously. There needs to be a box for marketing in your organizational chart, which assumes you have an organizational chart based on functions, not people. As Michael Gerber in the E-Myth suggests, you design your org chart out to represent how your business will look when it's mature, or as Michael Gerber would say, when it's finally done. And marketing is a box. And sorry about the language, coarse language warning, and so is sales. So you need to learn how to market and how to sell, because when it comes to advisory, sadly, the governments of the world are not making, for example, small business owners plan for their future. They're not making them have a business plan or management dashboards or cash flow forecasting, not even making them do things that are closer to home for many accountants, like tax planning. So because they're optional, they need to be sold. So if you embrace that idea of, okay, if we're to break out of our box and cross the chasm to join, at the moment, there's only about 10% of firms, and we know this through looking at the benchmarking data from people like Business Fitness with the Good, Bad, Ugly, only 10% of firms are doing a significant portion of their revenue in value-add advisory, future-focused services. 1 in 10. So out of the other 9, 8 state that they want to, but they don't know how to. And there's a lot of, I would call it vague advice out there, well-intentioned advice that's very helicopter level. We pride ourselves on getting down to the tin tacks details. But before, I just mentioned 1 in 10 are doing it, and out of the other 9, 8 in 10 say they want to do more advisory. I'm not sure what the other one is doing. Maybe they're about to retire. And if they are, we wish them well. So let's get into it. I want to start with a poll because this will give me context of knowing where you're at. So I'm just going to launch that poll now. And you should see that on your screen, and I'll see what percentage of people vote. I'm quite stubborn and I won't move on until about 80% of you have voted. And I'll then share the results. So, what are your current marketing challenges? Is it knowing where to start? Having the resources and people to do it? Is it the time needed to create content? Is it the skill needed to create content? And we'll talk today about examples of content. Or is it the technology aspects? And as you've noticed, you can click all that apply. So still waiting for a few of you to vote there. So if you're in a group, be assertive, grab the mouse or trackpad and click. Okay, nearly everyone's voted. Thank you for that. Let's end that poll and share the results. Okay, let's see. The winner by a long shot is the time needed to create content. So 75% of people voted for that. Let's see. Having the resources and people to do it was third. The skill needed to create content and technology aspects were equal there with 44%. And lastly, knowing where to start. So that's great because often that's the number one challenge. So I think we have a more advanced group here today. Now let's talk about the time needed to create content. There's no doubt that creating content does take time. But what you need to work out, and we can guide you on, is which aspects of the content should you create yourself in-house, for example, around blogging, which aspects do you do yourself, and which can you delegate, whether that's to team members within your organization or whether you can handball it, I don't even play Aussie rules, handball it over to an outsourced team like Paradox to do that work for you. Now, depending on your organization, most likely it makes just operational efficiency sense to outsource aspects of it because to do a great blog post needs firstly a good idea for a blog article in terms of who are you targeting, who's the very specific reader going to be of this article, and what are the points that we want to make. There's a concept called cognitive dissonance in psychology, which is discomfort. So the goal of your blog posts is to educate the reader to the point where before they read the article, they didn't know that they didn't know something. By the end of the article, they've got some new knowledge and hopefully some new insights and newfound beliefs. Now, when there's a difference between a person's newfound beliefs and their realization of where they are, that's cognitive dissonance, or in lay terms, you're getting them outside of your comfort zone in an utterly ethical way, because people don't buy advisory services until they see a gap in their life between where they are now and where they could be, and your advisory services are the footbridge over that gap. But until they see that gap, until they see that chasm, there is no demand for advisory services, none. Because until they do, menu of services, oh my goodness, that concept that gets put out there by various coaches, got to have a menu of services listing out all your product names. That is useless because to a consumer, to your target market and even your existing clients, those service names are just expenses. They've all got a dollar figure next to them. Stop selling your products and sell the outcomes because people are not price sensitive. We all have a budget. People are not price sensitive. It's not at the highest part of their list when they're wanting to solve an important problem in their life. So menu of services is a very, very bad idea. And we teach people how to abandon that and instead use, it's like a service infographic. It's a visual way of depicting the journey that you take clients on. It works much better. And I think actually, I wouldn't mind later, I think I see Matt Sharwood in on it today, live with us. Matt's achieved some amazing things just recently with his business in implementing that approach. But with the time, once you've got a good idea for an article, because without the good idea, it doesn't matter how well written it is, it's going to be dry, boring, technical, which most blog posts for most accounting firms are until we get to them. The first thing that you then need to do is work out, based on that article topic, what are people already searching for in Google and other search engines, but mainly Google, that relates to this topic. That's called keyword research. That needs to be done. If you're not SEOing blog posts before you actually polish them and finish them, wow, you're leaving a lot of opportunity on the table. In a couple of months, I'm interviewing Drew Grosskreutz from Otium Group because I was speaking to him on Wednesday morning, a couple of days ago, and he was telling me how he logged into our Implementer platform. Now, some of you already subscribe and have access to our Modern Marketing Implementer platform. Only a handful of you do because we haven't officially launched it, and we're launching it next month officially. So it's in an introductory soft launch mode. And Drew looked into Implementer and saw that the highest traffic web page on their site was not their homepage. So, you know, people spend a lot of time, as they should, on getting the wording right on their homepage. But what's more important is the educational content in your blog. Now, this blog post on the OTM Group's site was getting more than 4 times the traffic of their homepage. So then, because we've taught them these principles of that I'm going to share with you today, went, what's happening with that traffic? Could see in the data in Implementer that the traffic was coming in and leaving. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people every week were viewing this blog post that was about a specific aspect of property investing and self-managed super. So I said to Drew, so what did you do about that? And he said, well, we immediately implemented one of the conversion tools, which encourages people to want to download something from that blog post that relates to the blog post, and they had a property report. Now, he shared with me in the last week and a half, they have grown their marketing database by hundreds. And that came out of knowing the data about what's happening on our website, what's attracting people, what's converting, what's not. And that just gives you an insight into the practical, pragmatic style of marketing that we do that works. So with time, that aspect, you've got to have someone else do these aspects for you. You don't have time. At your charge out rate, if you're a chargeable person in your firm, there's an opportunity cost, isn't there? So rather than spend 4 to 6 hours doing every step of a blog post, you should spend 20, 30 minutes and then pass it on. Because what we do after we do the keyword research, a copywriter, so a very skilled wordsmith, then polishes the article. Great headline, turn it into more of a narrative, more of a story. And as they're polishing it, they SEO it for the target phrase. That dramatically improves traffic. Then it goes along to another person who is a marketing assistant who has a team of other marketing assistants on our team that then look for a really cool image to support the metaphor, the story, the message of that article. I don't know if you're kind of fatigued by now, but there is a bit of work here. Then once a really cool image is found, and we vote on the images internally in Paradox within a channel we've got in Slack called Images Brainstorm. And then the marketing assistant will put it on the blog and promote it through social media for you. So it's a bit of work. It's a 4-person workflow. So with time, you've got to really, I think, accept, and I did a Facebook Live, a live stream about this a couple of weeks ago. Time is a really, really poor thing to think about as a constraint because we're all equal. So it's not time, it's your ability to focus and marshal resources. So if you did answer time there, I get where you're coming from, but it's just a matter of marshalling the resources. That's one of the elements of a definition of an entrepreneur, is the ability to do that. So the Marketing Machine 2.0 model today, we're going to step you through this. The top 5 elements there of strategy, presence, publish, attract, and convert has a very, very specific objective. Now, we're not into marketing for pretty pictures. You know, you can spend a lot of money on branding, which is important. And you can spend a lot of money on a really well-designed website, which is important. But if you stop there, very limited ROI on that. You've got to tick 3 boxes. You've got to look great in your marketing. Otherwise, if you don't make a good first impression with your branding and colors and the design of your, not just your website, but your social media accounts and, you know, basic stuff that we all know about, email signatures, business cards, stationery, etc. If you don't make that good first impression, you don't even get a chance with a particular person to tick the next box, which is you've got to sound great. So you've got to look great and you've got to sound great, and sound great's your content. And then the third part is you've got to be great. So we really see a congruent flow between all of those. Look great, sound great with all of your blogging and all of your educational content and your marketing, and then you've got to deliver on that. But that's fun. That's what you got into the vocation that you're in of advisory, business financial advisory, is to make a difference to people's lives. So the objective across the top is simply to grow your marketing database. Full stop. Okay. Very measurable. So if you're not tracking the growth of your email marketing database beyond just your clients on a weekly basis, you should track all your lead measures weekly. Monthly is not often enough if you're serious about improving performance. Well, you're kind of running blind. So look at that. Then the bottom row goes from right to left of automate, nurture, invite, sell, and onboard has a very specific objective, and each step achieves something different. You want to build that very specific client base, because there's a world of difference between, I don't know, let's say you're just starting out and in a couple of years you've got 150 clients. It's a world of difference having 20 different industries through that client base versus 2. When you've got a couple and a focus in there, and by the way, industry is only one of the ways of niching and focusing. It's not the only way. But there's a world of difference, not just on how easy it is to market that, but how easy it is to get efficient with your workflow and your processes, even recruiting, training. It's much easier place to be in terms of running an effective and profitable business that you enjoy. So let's visit each of these in turn. So strategy is about making a decision about where you're going to focus. So decision comes from a Latin root, which actually means to cut. So when you make a decision, you're not kind of interested in something, you are committed to following a path. So you need to make decisions about where you're going to focus on. What sort of clients do you want to attract? What service mix do you want to deliver? And not, you could have a business based on one service, but it's not good to have a business based on 36 different services that I see listed in these lame-o marketing of services on websites. I say, we do this, 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 and this. You're better off having a very focused service offering that you can scale, that still adds value, and refer off the other ones to an inner circle of trusted advisors who also work with your clients. But that focus is crucial. And by definition, focus means to one point. So this is not about differentiation. I've written a lot about the myth of the unique selling proposition, the USP that gets taught by different marketing advisors. It's a pipe dream for accounting firms. Yep, it is, because from a strategic perspective, you're not differentiated. Because you've got the same business model to your competitors, by and large, you're recruiting from the same labor pool using largely many of the same apps. You're not actually differentiated. So it's more about positioning in how the position you take in the market, not saying that you're better or best. So strategy is not an objective. We survey people all the time. And in fact, when you have a chat with us about your marketing, after the initial chat, the next step that we get you to do is a structured marketing gap analysis. It's a questionnaire, online questionnaire, comes through into our CRM. We study that before we have a web meeting with you. And more than half of the time, now you guys are business advisors, yeah? Many of you. When we ask, what is your strategy? What gets entered is not a strategy, it's an objective. So they're utterly different things. So the strategy is how you're going to get to the objective, not what your objective is in terms of size and that sort of thing. And it's also not, attract businesses with revenue of $1 to $5 million who are good listeners and good payers. The good old client selection criteria, that's of no use in marketing, zero. It's useful to have those to screen prospects and qualify prospects as they come through, but you can't use that in content-driven marketing. Imagine your homepage. Are you a business with a turnover of $1 to $5 million? Are you a good listener and a good payer? Well, are we the accounting firm for you? Click here. So strategy is not an objective, and it's not something you can delegate. Just write down this phrase. You've got to delegate your marketing, not abdicate. So abdication means basically, you can handle it. I'm stepping down from the throne. I'm out of here. Abdication does not work. Now, there's two forms of abdication in marketing that is a guaranteed path to failure. You may have seen some of them, maybe not in your firm, but in others. One is when you hire a coach or a marketing agency, such as Paradox, and you have the attitude of, I'm paying you money, you handle it, I don't want to think about it. Does not work, and I'll come back to that one. The other one is where you might say hire a marketing coordinator. That concept's been made popular over the years by different consultants to the profession. And then as a partner group, let's say, you say, oh, look, we hired Sally or we hired Sam. They can think about the marketing. I've got more important things to do. Wow. Here's why that's wrong. Marketing strategy and business strategy answer the same questions. And they are high-level questions. Bernard Salt, the demographer from KPMG, who's often interviewed on the radio and quoted in the paper, he's the smashed avocado guy of last year, if that rings a bell for you. Another story for another day. He said when he's consulting to firms, the more senior person that he's talking to in the firm, as in a C level, the C-suite of executives, the higher level they are, the simpler questions they ask. And the more junior in the organization, the more complex, detailed questions he gets asked about, where are things headed in different industries and society with demographics. And the simple questions are we selling the right thing to the right people at the right time? Because if you get those questions wrong, the details don't matter. So you can't abdicate strategy. You must keep your hands on the wheel. So if your business is a boat and you want to sail it from here to Fiji, in our view, you must learn what strategy is. You must actually be the director, not the doer, but the director of your marketing. So that's why we focus really strongly on education, and there's 3 ways we educate people. Our Modern Marketing Academy, and many graduates of that are now Xero Partners of the Year in Australia. And by the way, 4 of the last 5 Xero Partners of the Year in Australia have all had us do their marketing, including the most recent, Consolidate, who smashed it, doing so well. So, on the education side, there's the Academy, and there's now the Implementer platform, which we're going to release next month, and you'll get a good look at that if you've not heard of that before. Very powerful, and our masterclasses. But education's key, because then you can make best use of other resources, whether they're within your firm or whether they're also, it could be and or other resources outside of your business. But if you're not directing those resources, you're pretty much burning money. And we see people all the time, sadly, after they've burnt money, they go, oh yeah, we've just gotten out, or we've got 3 months to go in an SEO contract with these guys from, somewhere in a different part of the world, and they're charging us $1,000 a month. Sometimes we hear $2,000 a month, and it's not working. Traffic's going up. We're getting really lousy, price-sensitive inquiries. We would have protected them from doing that by educating them. So get educated in marketing strategy, or underperform in terms of your business performance. So the good thing about strategy is it's not complex, but one of the reasons we're called Paradox is, to me, paradoxes are where the truth in life lie, because my definition of a paradox is surprising wisdom, because something might seem contradictory, self-contradictory, but the more you think about it, the truer it gets. So in life, simple and easy are not the same. It's really hard to get to a simple place often. But the way that we guide you in coming to your strategy, very clear framework. And if you're good at making decisions, and I don't want to offend anyone who's in a multi-partner firm, but what we find is in multi-partner firms, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 partner firms and larger, and we've worked right through to big 4 firms, we far prefer dealing with 1 and 2 partner firms, because you can make decisions. Everything doesn't have to turn into decision by committee. What's that saying? A camel is a horse designed by a committee. So if you think you're going to come to a strategy and you've got 3 or more people having to agree on the strategy, let's chat again in a year, because you'll probably be treading that same water. So if you are a multi-partner firm, we can work with multi-partner firms that are 3 and more if you have a designated marketing director who can actually make decisions, or a CEO who's actually CEO and doesn't just have the job title. But it's not complex, and we'll show you how to get clear, but it's really not common. We see it so often that no one has ever built a Hall of Fame to generalists. To be remarkable, you've got to have a very clear position in the market and become renowned for something. And that's what your strategy will do for you. But it does require discipline and focus, that last point. So that's marketing mistake number 1, is abdication instead of delegation, but you've got to educate yourself first. Don't take your hands off that strategic wheel. But there's plenty of people like the team at Paradox that can put the oars in the water, so to speak, and just make it happen. Because marketing machine, and I should have covered up on this a little earlier, why we call it a marketing machine is not to dehumanize it, but to demystify marketing. And marketing has a lot in common with accounting, in my view, because in accounting there's structures, there's principles, there's things balance or they don't, there's data. Same with this style of marketing. So when you know how a machine works, you can fix it, because machines break. And at the moment, you might have a marketing machine that's working great, like Matt, or you might have, though he's still improving it, or you might have a marketing machine that's kind of getting there, or you might have nothing near a marketing machine. But you need one where you understand the flow. So the next part is presence. So these are those first impressions that I mentioned earlier. And as the old saying goes, you never get another chance to make a first impression. And there's another quote. I used to have a client years ago who was a retailer for menswear in a CBD location. And one of the posters he had up, because he would target sort of the financial district in that city. And he had a quote up on the wall about, it was something like, dressing and grooming, good dressing and grooming never got anyone into the boardroom, but bad dressing and grooming kept many a person out. If that makes sense. So sometimes people form impressions based on cues that they observe before they even talk to you. And with digital marketing, they do that from afar. So you currently have a digital footprint. It might be tiny. You might not be aware of the size and the extent and the quality of it, but you have one because, like it or not, you are who Google says you are these days. So even referrals, let's say someone this afternoon at school pickup, let's say, if you service that demographic of parents, mentions to someone how great you are and tells them your name. They're going to Google it. They're going to have a look at you. They might click through to your LinkedIn profile. There are steps where people get to know you. Now, your digital footprint is crucial because if you don't have it done to full extent, and by the way, it's really easy. We've got a whole checklist in Implementer of the things that you need to have in place. You get disadvantaged. You won't get shown on the first page of Google. You won't get listed in the Google Maps or Places view at the top of the search results in Google if you don't have your Google My Business account fully completed, if you don't have things like locations verified, hours of operation, photos of the premises, photos of the team. There's a whole range of things that you need to tick off. And you do have a Google My Business account. You just might not be fully aware of it, or you might be. You need to not only have it fully completed, but you need to have it strategically completed using certain phrases. Make sure you get the right industry classification selected, and then you're not at a disadvantage. And you're at a disadvantage compared to 98% of businesses out there that are ignorant of this. So you need to have a well-designed and mobile responsive website. So mobile responsive just means it looks great on a mobile. The layout rearranges itself. So let's say on a smartphone, it's just one column and people can just flick up and go through the site without having to pinch, zoom, flick sideways. If you're not mobile responsive, you're losing out big time because it's moving up now towards about 3/4 of searches are done on mobiles. It's between about 2/3 and 3/4 as a population. It varies per industry. So if your site is not mobile responsive, and Google has a little test where you can paste in your URL. We have a link and a task for this in our Modern Marketing Implementer platform. You paste in your website address, click a button, and you get a score for how mobile responsive your site is. Now, if you're below the 85% that Google wants, Google won't even list you when someone searches on a mobile because they can't pick up the cues around what's called local search, range of other things. But look, this is just a must-have. We've gone beyond the days. Remember when websites first became a thing, and it was, I better get a website. And then once you had a website, you thought, okay, I'm modern now. I've got a website. We see plenty of sites that probably haven't been updated since late 90s, early noughties. It's got to look great, and it's got to be mobile responsive. The Google My Business profile, as I mentioned, I covered that. Really important. The other elements are about the social media profiles completed and branded. There's a lot of things you can do to a Facebook page, to your Twitter page, to your LinkedIn company account to brand it well so that when people click through, let's say from your website to a couple of different social media accounts, they're thinking, these guys are slick. These guys are professional. These guys are modern, progressive. And if you want to do business advisory, you need to have positioning like that. You can't really be seen as, these guys are traditional fuddy-duddies who look like they haven't changed since about 1984. So that's important. To complete them means the data, and to brand them, make them look great. And we can do that for you. By the way, we launched a service recently called Virtual Marketing Assistant, where you can purchase 5 hours, we call it a bucket, of 5 hours of techie help for those little techie tasks like, can you set up our LinkedIn company page, or can you brand it, or can you fix the colors on our Twitter page to match our branding and our style sheet, and we just do it for you and let you know when that bucket is at 80% gone, and then you can purchase another bucket. As an example of that, the other day, Matt Sharwood from Advise, he said, hey guys, can you do a slide deck for us because we're about to get into webinars. And for the members who are online now, we're doing, not this month, February, but the next month, the topic is going to be webinars, how to use webinars to generate leads and to convert leads into very warm leads who want to sit down with you and basically have a scoping conversation. So that's next month. So Matt's getting into his webinars, and because we did we came up with Matt's name, we did his branding in terms of the logo design and the colors. I still love that logo so much that Bianca designed for you, Matt, that Advise there. We're redoing his website. One of the websites for accountants players did the original design. It can be, much better. So that's a project on the go at the moment. And anyway, so this slide deck was all done as just part of the virtual marketing assistance service. Once you've got a style guide in place and strong branding rules, it's easy for others to produce other collateral that, marketing material that matches. So all these colors are straight off the color palette of Matt's style guide. And he's going to do some kick-ass, can I say that? Kick-ass webinars in the coming months. So gravatar.com, if you don't have a gravatar.com account, get one, set it up today. Just Google it, go straight there. And what it is you can enter your profile and a photo in relation to or in connection to an email address. So, I have two avatars. I have one attached to mc@practiceparadox.com.au. Look very professional. Well, I think I do. And I've got another one that's just linked to my personal email address that's got a different picture of me with the kids or something. So the purpose of that is, again, when you take part in a forum where you answer something, which is very smart, it creates backlinks to your site. Or if you, do a comment on the blog, don't be grey silhouette person, with a white background. You want to build your presence. You want to be omnipresent. People want to see you everywhere. You should have a Gravatar account and avatar set up in Gravatar and do multiple ones. So marketing mistake number 2 is your digital footprint is incomplete and amateur. And if you've not worked with us before, I'm willing to bet you a case of beer, your favorite, you name the beer, that your digital footprint, if you're not already a Paradox member, is sadly incomplete. And we can run some tests for you on that to show you whether it is or not. You got to share at least one beer with me if you do. Okay, so let's reframe this whole thing about publishing. Every business is a publisher. So I talked about multiple steps to get a really great blog post out there, because you don't want good blog posts, because good blog posts are about as useful as bad, boring ones. They just wash over everyone. My goodness, look at all the content that's just streaming. I think stream's a really good word for it. It's washing past at knots. In LinkedIn, particularly Twitter, Facebook. And Facebook only shows certain things anyway. So it's hard to get traction out there. So your article, a blog post needs to be great. It needs to be contrarian. It needs to have sort of a non-obvious angle, which are all things that we coach and teach around. But when you do that, you need that workflow of people who are going to add value to your idea. So SEO, copywriting, design, web techies. But just remember, your goal with your marketing is to educate, not to do, corporate chest beating and tell everyone how good you are and how professional you are. The wording that you see on About Us pages. Oh God, or worse, people who have websites where the headline on the website is, "Welcome to our website." Huh? What are you? How exciting, I'm at your website. You need to have a value proposition, a headline that says, "We do this for these people." Bang. Then a tagline under that expands on those benefits, and then 3 main benefits. But that's another story for another day. So you're not there about saying, how professional you are or how dedicated you are and what good service you give. No one's going to read it. And if they do read it, they're going to think, yep, same as what the last site said that I looked at. So just educate, educate, educate. And that makes marketing fun, because I know good advisors, you really enjoy advisory sessions with clients. Like, it just lights your fire. It adds value. You change lives. So your content, your blog contents, etc., can change lives too. I'm just going to pull up a couple of examples of sites of people that are doing a good job with their blogging. And we'll look at a few examples. So Consolidate, who I mentioned earlier, current Xero Partner of the Year, top performing firm in many ways, came to us about 15 months ago and said, look, we're investing a lot in our marketing, not really getting the return. And we're also frustrated that, we'd really love to win the Xero Partner of the Year, because we worked out you guys are a common thread with most of the winners in recent years. So it was nice to tick that off for them. Not that awards put money in the bank directly, but she had a focused goal. But she won the award because of how well they're marketing their firm, based on great strategy, great content, SEO with the search engine optimization that we're also doing for them, coaching them around their blogging. And this is the stuff that works. So, for example, you tell your small business clients, look, you really should be paying yourself a salary, for lots of reasons around business valuation and potential, drawings and Div 7A issues. So you could write an article about that topic and target all small businesses. Well, there's a recipe that's not nearly as strong and cut through as tailoring that. Look here, why women in business should pay themselves a market-based wage. So this blog post is tailored to that audience because there are nuances there and other aspects that they deeply understand because they've identified 4 buyer personas that they target moving forward. You know, first graduate of our Modern Marketing Academy, Steph Hines from GrowthWise, who we taught modern marketing to, and a year later she was Zero Partner of the Year. You know, they do really good practical stuff. They do lots of tips that in a way, they might be tips on how to use Xero or do different things with different apps in that whole app ecosystem, but they make it fun, they make it engaging. You know, they understand how to basically be a cool accounting firm. But that strategy and that approach is based on who they're targeting. And, you know, Advise have been doing a combination of custom blogs, which we do. That's the first option. But sometimes, like Matt's been doing traveling, I think skiing in Japan and going to America with some marketing automation initiatives. And some of these articles, Matt just says, oh, look, can we take one of the ones that Paradox has pre-written, like this one here? But you can see it's all about educate, educate, educate. It's not hard sell. People read these things, they shift their thinking, then they go, we should do something about that. So that is what works in marketing, is education. And think of yourself, how does our publishing function work? Out of those steps of author, SEO, polish, graphic design, web techie, putting it on the web, and social media, who's going to do what? We can do everything in that other than the first bit because you're the thought leader. Our goal and our role is to position you as a thought leader, and that starts with your thoughts. All right, so content is, I've talked a lot about blogs, but obviously it also includes email, social media, video. I listened to a brilliant podcast 2 days ago. The guy that was being interviewed is the founder of socialmediaexaminer.com. Fantastic, probably one of the top 2 sites on the planet about the latest in social media. And at the moment, his phrase was, live video is getting a free ride in social media. Meaning, if you do live video, like you can do Facebook Live, which is so easy to do, as long as you can string a few words together and talk to imagining you're talking to a person. There's YouTube does live video, obviously there's Periscope, all the social media platforms are moving into it. A lot of people will see if you do live video, but other things, Facebook decides with its Edge algorithm selectively for each Facebook user what they're going to put in front of you. And they're much more likely to put things from family and friends and people they've recently engaged with in front of them rather than your latest update on your Facebook page. But anyway, so video is a really powerful platform. With the webinars, you know, we can show you how to do webinars where after it, you do hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of business after a webinar. Absolutely possible. We've done it ourselves. Audio surveys, polls, infographics, white papers, all of these are forms of content. But the good news is they all start with an idea. These are just different forms of publishing your content. So don't spread yourself across all social media platforms. Pick a couple that you have an affinity with and where your tribe and your future tribe and audience, where they are. So your content and channels need to match. You don't have to use all 6 or 7 of the well-known ones. So, but you do need to consistently publish great content. Like really, if you're not publishing a couple of blog posts a month, and you're not very active with content publishing, 1 a month is you have a pulse, you have a heartbeat, you're alive, you've shown up. But do it consistently and have a whole workflow of not just your blogging, but how often are you doing events, how often are you going to be doing the social media and all forms of your content. Email newsletter, very important as well. Then after the publishing the content, the whole purpose of it is to attract targeted traffic. So that just means really specific people to your website. So Antoinette, who I can see on the webinar today, Antoinette shared a story with us at our last masterclass, our 2-day workshop late last year, of how she spent a fair bit of money in paid advertising, pay per click, you know, Google AdWords, things like that. Got a lot of traffic, got a lot of inquiries, but they were not good quality ones in hindsight. It certainly helped the firm kick on and get going, but now it's actually a matter of need to actually purge these lower value, price sensitive, sometimes unappreciative clients that paid traffic generated. You're far better off generating incoming inquiries with what's called organic search and social, which is what we're talking about today, which means people discover you when they search things via the search engines or in social media. So the targeted content is what it's all about. It's got to be that SEO focus. What phrases are we targeting here? And you build that position of authority over time. You become the go-to person. Remember, don't be a generalist, so you'll just fade into the background. So you need to know, if I said to you right now, what's your website traffic? How many unique visitors, people, do you get per month? You need to know what it is, and you need to know the trend. Is it growing? Because if it's not growing and you're doing marketing, your marketing is not working. Now, if it's not working, then you can delve further in the data, like with some of the reports in Implementer, and see, right, interesting. How about our bounce rate, which is the percentage of people who just leave a web page without clicking to anything else? Often marketing for pretty pictures websites that look great, don't think through the next step in the funnel, it's called. What are the series of steps? Okay, so you need to know what people are searching on to find you. The data is available. You can actually find out what are people searching on who are already coming to your website, because that can give you an opportunity to go, wow, isn't that interesting? Even though we're in Melbourne, we're getting a lot of searches coming in from people searching on this, and they're in Sydney. Interesting. Maybe we could service them with webinars and with online content and collaboration tools. Interesting. So there's just a wealth of data in there. So the paid traffic that I mentioned earlier, SEM stands for search engine marketing, so Google AdWords type thing. Pay-per-click is kind of a broader definition. That's also things like Facebook advertising. It's insanely amazing how specific your traffic can get, and I'll share that in a couple of months when I interview Drew from Otium, what they're doing there, building off the back of their blogging. It's amazing. Yeah, so if you've got no website traffic, you've obviously got no buzz around your brand. You know, there's just no momentum in your marketing. So you need to track your marketing metrics, such as traffic. There's a range of metrics. Must be tracking them. And then, you know, you've got to convert that traffic. If you don't, your website's just a leaky bucket. People are coming to the website being unimpressed and leaving. So, you know, you need to track conversion rates and bounce rates. And that's visitors who opt in. So, you know, people like, let's say Ben Walker of Inspire CA. He's been through our marketing academy. We've helped them evolve from being lost in marketing. He'd been going through a coaching club that was giving really out-of-date advice, really out of date. And he came to us and said, look, what's different about what you teach? And he very quickly came to understand. And, you know, these guys grow their list every day, every night while Ben sleeps. He gets opt-ins to the different lead magnets. So lead magnets is the term. There are other terms for them. Gifts, the KPI people call them. But things that people want to download. Bam, bam. They're into your email list. Your email newsletter list grows. You send out an email newsletter once a month at least. Then people click on the list, the links in the emails. They go back to your site. They read articles. They go, oh, there's an event coming up. I like these guys. I might go to their event. So Ben and now Harvey, who's joined the firm, they're doing events every month, live online and also in person. And yeah, they've got a marketing machine that's absolutely cranking along. So conversion goals, do you know in your Google Analytics what your conversion goals are? They are actually things that you enter. So a conversion goal might be a contact us form submission or a sign up for your e-newsletter, but they are lame because they're very generic. You want other ones like, you know, particular video was watched or a specific checklist that is of a topic that only someone in your ideal buyer persona would be interested in. So all of these things are specific actions that a website visitor can do, just like switched on retailers direct eyes and ears and customers through their store. Your website needs to do the same. So conversion tools like SumoMe, ConvertFlow, Hello Bar, there's all these really cool little tools that greatly increase the percentage of people who go, oh, I might download that. So back here on Consolidate, see that button across the, that stripe across the top? That needs to be much better on what it's doing, because no one woke up this morning going, you know what I need in my life? I need another email newsletter. So that's why specific content's better. But that tool there is using one called SumoMe that we put Consolidate onto. Then, you know, conversion is the purpose of your website. You want to grow your list, your email list, even though email's not glamorous, you know, it's been around for a while now. To us too, social media, it's just another channel. It's no big deal. It's just a tool in business that you should be savvy to and you should be using it. But your whole goal, grow that email database and grow your social media connections. That's what your website's all about. It's not to get clients. Nope. Your overall marketing machine will do that, but at the front end of your marketing machine, it should be converting visitors to people who say, I really like what you guys are about. I want to stay plugged in. I want to get your email newsletters. I want to connect to you on LinkedIn. I want to watch your videos. That's the goal. So you need to track and optimize your website conversions is marketing mistake number 5. So that's gotten us to the halfway point of the marketing machine model. What I'd like to do now is invite some questions about what we've covered so far, and it can be about absolutely anything in your business, absolutely any aspect of it. So I'm keeping an eye. So the Q&A, there's a Q&A area, or even if you want to just use chat, I'm going to have a look here and just click through any question. Nothing is too big picture and strategic or too kind of techie and detail. No such thing as a dumb question. Ask away. If you want it anonymous, you could maybe put asked anonymously and I'll answer it for you. So far we've covered strategy, presence, publish, attract, and convert. If you fail at any one of those steps, it's like a link in a chain. It doesn't take more than one link in a chain to be broken for the entire chain to be broken. But it all does start with strategy. And if you haven't been through the academy, I highly recommend that because it allows you to go through with your team. We don't charge extra per person. Your whole business can go through it for one business location. And it's not just about watching the videos in there, it's about doing the next actions and then asking for help. So we've got a closed Facebook group, a forum that you get access to, and it's been great, some of the very specific questions being asked in there over the last couple of weeks, because we can steer you if you're rolling, if you're doing things. We can't steer a parked car who's thinking about marketing. You know, thinking doesn't achieve anything. It's preparation, but it's not action. So Anonymous asked, where do we draw the line on what's ridiculous claims in advertising? Okay, $1 trillion in SMSF. Okay, so feel free to enter into chat and you can do that anonymously. Just expand on that for me. You've got to avoid hyperbole or hype. Just bullshit. Can I say that? I'm gonna swear a little bit because that's who I am. So you've got to avoid bullshit, because if you wouldn't say it to someone face to face in a meeting and feel good about it, don't say it in your marketing, because people don't take any notice of traditional advertising. There's so much data out there to say it. That's why social search, and when people ask others about you, that's so much more important than how great or big or professional you say you are on your website. The website shouldn't be talking about you anyway. It should be talking about you, the reader. There's a cool little thing. Others do it now. I did it a few years ago at a keynote at Xerocon, I think it was in Sydney or Melbourne, where you can go through and do a count on your website, let's say the homepage or about us, and count how many times your website says us and we and your firm name versus how many times it says you and your, the reader. It's normally heavily weighted. So you don't want your website to just be a brochure. It needs to be an engaging platform of communication. So yeah, look, avoid BS, huge claims and big statistics, because do you think, let's say a small business operator out there woke up this morning and said, yeah, what I'm really looking for is the biggest SMSF advisor in town. No, they're probably looking for the one that understands where they are at, that is a good listener, that they connect with at sort of a person-to-person level. So yeah, avoid those. If anyone wants to talk and elaborate on their question, there's a little cool feature where you can raise your hand. So if I see any raised hands, I'll know that you want to talk, and I can unmute you, and you can then talk to all of us. It's like radio talkback. Okay, so I answered that one live, so that's done. Feel free to ask again if I didn't quite get the angle of why you asked that. Jenna asks, how much blog history content had, say, advised accountants built up before they started using pay-per-click? Sorry, I know I do talk quickly. With the pay-per-click, no, I was talking about advise. accountants. Oh, sorry, I was talking about Otium Group about that earlier. Who what they're going to do with that website that's getting that blog post that's getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of visits per week. They're going to turn up the tap and get that into many, many hundreds because it's converting really well. And wow, the fact that people are putting in their mobile, they're putting in their postcode, it's just gold. So they blogged for a long time before they ventured into pay-per-click. Let me see if Drew's on today. I can't see him. It's a long list, but I can't see them. But I think a couple of years. I could be wrong there, but you'll find out, Jenna. Sounds like they've used it or are using it. Just interested on what foundations are for pay-per-click marketing should be. Look, across the board, Jenna and everyone, don't do pay-per-click until you talk to us because there's much better ways to spend your money. And pay-per-click that just sends people to your homepage, it's a waste of time. Pay-per-click should send people to very specific pages. They call them landing pages on your website. And a blog can be a form of landing page. Technically, a landing page has only one objective that the person who lands on it can do, like download this PDF or watch this video. It doesn't have all the other navigation and buttons that a typical page might have, but you don't have to do it to that degree. That's like full-on marketing. You don't have to do that. But look, avoid pay-per-click. So many better ways to spend money. Every day of the week, our business gets people contact us who have just Googled marketing for accountants, marketing ideas for accountants that we dominate globally, and that's called organic search, and it's free. When I say free, we went to the effort of publishing our thoughts, and a lot of the traffic comes from evergreen posts that that were done months and years ago, and you can look at the data and you can see your highest traffic blog posts. So yeah, don't do any pay-per-click yet. If you're already locked into a contract, we can talk about that. Okay, and let's see. The anonymous viewer said nailed it for me, avoiding the BS. Yeah. Avoid hype. You know, we've all got a bullshit meter built into us, and that's that one where you say something and your gut level goes, oh, that didn't feel right. Don't say that stuff. Don't present that stuff from stage. Don't put it in your content. Don't put it in your emails. Just be, authentic and be real. The very first masterclass we ever did that had people in it like Steph Hines, had people like, Drew from Otium that have built, multi-million-dollar businesses now. They were startups at the time. We ran through, you need to dare to do modern marketing, D-A-R-E. D stands for, it's a dialogue now, not a monologue. Advertising is a monologue one way. Aren't we great? Aren't we great? Aren't we great? Please buy. Bullshit. Dialogue is a two-way. It's a conversation in social media. It's a blog post with the ability for people to do comments. It's surveying people, polling. It's having webinars and events where people can ask questions. A is be authentic. People actually buy from people, not brands, not companies. They buy from people, particularly in what you do as a professional service firm. So your content should sound like you speaking. So be really authentic and not, artificial. So R in D-A-R-E is real time. Marketing now is real time. You get an idea for something you want to share, you can be live on a Facebook live stream in the next minute, easily. In fact, so can I, but I won't do it now. Through Zoom has the ability now, in the middle of a webinar, you can go live to Facebook or you can go live to YouTube. Super cool technology. So it's real time, not labored. It's not like, oh, let's do a project plan and work out this great big campaign where you plan for 3 months about this campaign you're going to do, in which time you could have got half a dozen or a dozen blog posts out there that are targeted on specific content and have people already discovering you through search. So real time is important. And the E of D-A-R-E is, and I covered it earlier, every business is now a publisher. Now, if you've been to any of my webinars before, you'll realize I don't work to a script. It kind of dulls my brain to kind of work to a script, which means timing can be a little bit unpredictable. So I'm going to cover the last 5 of these in another webinar. But the main point about today, and the gist is, have a strategy, have a structure, work out what you're going to outsource, and outsource it. Because unless you marshal those resources, you'll just, in a month, a year, you'll be in the same place now as to where you are now. Nothing changes until something changes. So your next steps from today, and I'm happy to take more questions, I'm keeping an eye on those there, and I'm looking at chat too, is look, let's just have a chat. If you're thinking about upping the ante with your marketing, we just have a chat, right? And then the next step is to do our marketing gap analysis after that. If we connect, if you think there's a fit, and also if we think there's a fit. For example, we ask people questions like, how do you feel about learning how to get better at marketing versus having things done for you? If they say, nope, I don't have any time to learn, I just want it done for you, we'll actually try to educate them around that, or say, oh, there's not really a fit here. But you'll work out whether there's a fit. Budget-wise, we'll work out. You can start working with us for as little as a few hundred a month on Implementer. Most firms spend about $1,100-1,200 a month with us. Some spend $4,000 or $5,000 a month, but the average is about $1,100. And on that, by the way, if that sounds like a lot of money, you might be thinking small, because put that into perspective. Let's keep the numbers simple. I'll round down. I'm not good at maths on the fly. I was good back in primary school. If you're spending $1,000 a month, over a year, that's $12,000. How much do you pay for a support team member or a junior professional in a year? How much would you pay for, let's say you're thinking of hiring a marketing coordinator. The challenge with hiring marketing resources in-house, even if you were willing to spend 60 grand or whatever it might be on direct and indirect costs, probably more than that, depending where you are, it's hard to attract good talent in marketing if you're, a small accounting firm. It just is. Because the most talented people in marketing aren't necessarily looking to work for a suburban accounting firm. That might be a little bit of tough love, but that's the reality. So the talented writers and SEO people, have certain places they want to work. So they're hard to attract. But let's say you've got a great brand, great vibe, and you can attract them. Like people like OTM, they've got people in-house, they can attract them. But then you need to screen them for competency. So you've got to know how to hire. Then you might not be any good at that. You've got to know how to train and induct them and supervise and manage them. So all those on-costs should be taken into account. So $1,200 a month with us is a fraction of what it costs to get it in-house. And the other thing that you can't get in one person, if you can, I want to meet them. But what you can't get in one person is someone who understands marketing strategy, who is really good at SEO and understands SEO and metrics, is a really good writer, can write articles that have a real edge to them and that people want to read and that they love, and is good at design, and is good at web tech, and is good at social media. Very difficult to find that in one person. And if you do, apart from telling me, I want to know what you're paying them, because you might not hold on to them. So when you outsource to us, you guys keep your hands on the strategic wheel, but we'll guide you and teach you the frameworks on your thoughts on that sort of business you want to build. Because we're not, here's the one perfect firm. I saw Rob Nixon's article the other day. Here's what a perfect firm looks like. That's not how the world works. There's lots of different ways to have a great firm. There's no one way. And you know what sort of firm you want to design, and we guide you to have that sort of firm. You might want to have a big, mega brand, successful firm. You might want a lifestyle business. Both are right. It's just in terms of what you want. So you can't get in one person all of that. But with us, you get an assigned marketing coordinator who looks after you, your go-to point logistically. And behind that person is a team of people who are good at SEO, good at copywriting, good at graphic design, good at the techie stuff to do with websites and social media. And you don't have to know anything about what they're doing. You just have to do a few points of communication each month, and then you achieve that consistency. Because without consistency, you're dabbling. And dabbling, to close off now today, dabbling, I don't know, have you ever taken up golf and dabbled? You'd be a hacker. Have you ever taken up tennis and dabbled? You're probably like dink, dink. You don't know how to actually hit the ball properly and to get it to dip into the court. Don't dabble. It doesn't get competency in anything. Commit and resource and do it. So there's two ways you can do it. You can just go to our contact us page, which is the fastest way, and you can directly book a call with me or a web meeting for half an hour, because it sees the gaps in my calendar. But look, if it's easy to email, just email us at mc@practiceparadox.com.au, and let's make time for that initial half-hour chat over the phone. I don't see any more questions, so we'll wrap there, and we'll do a part 2 of this webinar around automate, nurture, invite, sell, and onboard And if you like efficiency and effectiveness combined, you're going to love that, because the automation thing is mind-blowing. So thanks for joining us today, everyone. I've really appreciated you logging in and still being with us. And I'll see you for our next webinars. A lot of case study interviews coming up. I mentioned we're going to interview Drew from OTM Group. Phenomenal what they've been doing. We're also going to be interviewing Greg Tuckle from Zero Books. We took Zero Books in terms of advising them from blank canvas. They hadn't started yet. And they're now a platinum partner, picking up clients from all around the world. Even though they're based on the Sunshine Coast, they also have a team in the Philippines as well. But they're picking up clients from places like, was it Maldives, New York, London. And when they pick up new clients, these clients have never spoken to or met Greg. And these clients are worth $40,000, $45,000, $60,000. This is the stuff that firms are achieving when they position themselves as an authority. So look forward to helping you do that as well. So see you next time, and have a fantastic Friday and weekend. Bye for now.